continue in 2022. Um, so again, welcome everybody to this Mastermind Monday, the final Mastermind Monday in 2022. I'm so grateful to see all of your shining faces. I know your time is very valuable, and we so have always valued you coming to join us at 12 o'clock on most Mondays throughout the last 2 years. To kind of just up our game, to continue to grow as leaders, as friends, as community, as CRS members, as RRC members, as realtors in general. Always want to credit Cheryl DiGirolamo, whose apple of the eye this was many years ago, and we've continued to bring it to fruition. Nora Lynch, who's somewhere around, up there, Nora, her and Kelly Catallo, during the early parts of the pandemic, really spearheaded this effort. And we wouldn't be here and recording and on Facebook all this time if it weren't for our CTO, Christine McClellan, who is there up in the upper left-hand corner. Christine has single-handedly continued to record these, shown up every single week, and then posted them onto our YouTube channel. It's just been an invaluable service to all of us, and I'm so thrilled to be able to call you my friend as well. So, and welcome everybody that's just joining in. Allison, just so you know, even though we've been at 12 o'clock every Monday for 2 years, for 30 minutes, people continue to come on at like 20 after 12. So just know that this is a fabulous group that we're starting with, but we'll continue to have more folks join in. I am so excited to welcome my friend, my colleague, a mentor, a conference BFF, someone who I really respect, and who I try to really follow and keep an eye on everything she does, because she's just been such an amazing realtor, but really an amazing volunteer in places large and small. We just were talking about one of the chapters of Abby Wambach's book about leading from the bench. And Alison Socha, you embody the qualities of leading, but also leading from the bench. So with all that, I'm going to mute myself. Today is talking about balance, but finding your balance, right? Balance is kind of, something we're all pretending does or doesn't exist, but finding your balance in 2022. Let me hand this over to Allison. So excited.
Thank you, Lisa. Well, I am so excited to be here. Honored, really. A little worried, frankly, just because I have been on so many of these Mastermind Mondays, and I just love everything that everybody's so willing to share. But there's that little part of me that says, me, you picked me? You think I can tell you something? And when Lisa and I were chatting, and she brought up leadership with me, and I said, leadership, yeah. I said, but I think the thing that has struck me the most, especially over these last 2 years, has been about balance. So balance, that thing we're supposed to crave. It's an ideal even, right? Something to reach towards, achieve. And if we don't reach it, or that ideal about it, it's like we've somehow failed. However, in my eyes, seeking it and attempting it, that might just be simply enough, because it's about the effort and the realization that there is a balance that can and even should be achieved. And it's really what's in the eye of the beholder. It comes down to what works to you. Balance is ours. It's yours. It's mine. It isn't about anybody else. So I think one of our struggles about balance is we get caught up in one part of the definition. And it's that one part that once I looked it up, I thought, oh, this makes so much sense, right? That first part is it's a condition in which elements are equal. Well, it's hard to accomplish that unless you're a gymnast, right? Arguably, those of us in real estate may be gymnasts in our everyday with some of the feats we manage to accomplish. But the reality is it ever going to be exactly equal? Then when you look at the rest of the definition, it states, or in the correct proportions, followed by stability of one's mind or feelings, the way to have some kind of peace and personal balance. And then the last part is harmony of design and proportion. Now, I will confess, harmony of design and proportion really relates to art, but I thought that harmony was one of the biggest elements for us to think about. It's about what creates harmony in your world, in your life, in your business, with those around you, those people who depend on you. And with any definition, with all those different parts, some parts are more in line with us than others. So balance, it's not about the equal, given that we are not actually routinely undertaking those backflips across the mat, nor are we balancing on a beam like we're part of the USA gymnastics team. So finding those correct proportions to bring you to that stability, that peace. And then frankly, we have to remember this is a concept that will develop differently as we all navigate achieving balance. It's going to vary month to month, week to week, day to day, year to year. But really, how do we get there? So it comes down to digging deep, owning what you want out of life and for yourself. Since we break it down into manageable chunks routinely, for us, I think it comes down to the year ahead. That's a simple way. We all do business plans. It's that time of the year right now. We start working in October and then you keep refining it and meeting with your mentors and business partners and your coaches, and you get down to it. So this isn't, though, just about that. Obviously, it's about your business. It's about those who work for you, those people that you are responsible for. It's also about your own personal growth. And it's about the people you depend on and who depend on you in your personal life. I think it's really easy for us to throw that one to the side, but having some sort of stability within your personal life, that's so big for what you can do. Because at the end of the day, work is great. We can all achieve so much there, but finding that way to get to those across all those hurdles, make all those moves, it comes back to what do you have in the rest of your life? At the end of the day, work isn't what you're going to have. It's going to be the people who surround you and the people that you know and love. So really, what is the world that you envision for yourself? Where does that world take you? Is it just about achieving volume of sales or commission revenue? Is it creating a scalable and possibly sellable real estate business? Is it to create a real estate partnership or a team? Is it creating a community of your clients, your friends? Is it working just in your community around you? Or working in your community like we all do here within our RC? Is it about you challenging yourself within another spot in our real estate sphere, growing in leadership? What challenge will you set for yourself? Something for you to really reach for on a personal level. What are your goals for your mental health, your physical health? Where do you want to travel? Do you think you need a retreat? Should you take up yoga? Are you just going to take a walk daily? And really, where does that bring us? Who and what do you need to prioritize in your life? It's your friends, your family, your colleagues, your clients, those with whom you volunteer, but it's about yourself. It's about you and coming back to where you need to be and how you want to get there and centering yourself so that you can have that harmony. So to get there, though, and to truly nail it down, you have to be able to break it down so it's manageable, malleable, and let's face it, rewarding. At the end of the day, there's something nice about being able to check the box at the end of the day or at the end of the week as you go through your list and think about your business plan when you do those check-ins. That's the real deal. And at the same time, you still have to be open to new experiences and opportunities and find a way to realign, because sometimes how we start isn't always how we finish. And you need to be open to that concept that being in balance, being in harmony might shift. So before we go much further, I actually want to talk about me, which frankly makes me uncomfortable. I started this year just wanting it to be returned to normal-ish, given 2020. It's easy enough in some ways and challenging in others. I live in a great community where everybody is outside. We're able to volunteer and go to places, hang out. I'm surrounded by love and support of an extended family and friends, even sometimes despite me not being the greatest friend around. They challenged me to do more, be more, and give more. Even what Lisa said today, that challenged me, frankly, because that was one of the nicest things anybody's ever said to me. They also challenge me to take advantage of opportunities like today, and they'll call me on my weaknesses when they need to, so that I can make sure that I'm keeping my eyes focused forward and that I'm open to things. And I'm also proud to be part of a real estate team that's like a family. And family is the right word. We're there to support each other. We also sometimes bother each other. We sometimes have to work through it. I wanted us to be successful as a unit, but also as individually. And we grew a lot between 2020 and 2021. We expanded our team to include 6 agents under Linda and me with 2 support staff members. We weathered those changes of the pandemic through our way, sometimes more successfully than others. I serve in local leadership at our board. I served in a new role in Women's Council this year in Massachusetts as the state liaison. I helped organize the Women's Council National Inaugural. I served on several state committees and on a national committee. And I was also fortunate to grow myself a little bit through 2 other opportunities to speak at 2 Women's Council national events, and then also be an instructor at a Women's Council leadership training. and that dovetailed into a few other teaching opportunities. And in all of those roles, I've been challenged to help others grow and then reevaluate what they needed for me to continue their growth. For me, a lot of this year has been about looking beyond myself so that I could be the leader that those people needed when they needed it. Sure, I think I was successful some of the times and not all the other times. And then on our team, we also have agents who are at different stages of their careers, their businesses, their development, and their goals. Finding a way to harmonize all that, well, that created a few challenges for me right there. So I figured out I needed a plan. I had to devise a way to work through all of it. And then, of course, I'm here today. So although being in front of people is not a fearful thing for me, this part of it, when somebody thinks I have something to offer and share, well, that scares me. I'm more of a keep my head down, just keep working. I know what I'm doing and no one else needs to know kind of person. Give me a task, I'll get it done. So being here with all of you people that I look up to, those people who are my colleagues and supporters is a joy. But I'm also caught in this notion that you all already know all of this. So I had to remind myself that every time we talk to another person, every time we go and we hear that same speaker another time, you get a little extra nugget, something that will give you that little push. It's that nudge that will help you make that change. So aligning your life goals, your personal growth goals, your work goals, and finding a harmony. How do we get there? Well, systems, big part of it. And I also think trial and error. There's a book by Henrietta Clauser called Write It Down, Make It Happen. I think we all know that's really, really true. So you have to write it down. You have to create a plan to work it, and then make sure you work the plan. But it's not just one thing or one plan. It's all of the things that we do to get to work for you. So it's about creating habits that will allow you this freedom and to accept the challenge. So what can you deploy daily that will be a game changer? Where's that space for you to grow? How do you make that move? So I came up with a few things that I realized are the themes when I get down to how am I going to get all this done and how am I going to find that harmony, right? Some of us need to sleep 8 hours a night. Some of us can get by on 5.5 or 6. Some of us want to make sure we get that other chance to go out with our friends. Some of us want to make sure we're available for that phone call. And then, of course, we have our clients that I know we all kind of hone back into. But what about those people who depend on you to give them that little prop up, those people around you that you're that source of support for? So you have to give yourself the freedom to be there in all those places you want to be, but keep it manageable, keep it achievable. So first thing, write it down, everything, those wild and crazy ideas, the simple things, the idea that you want to read a book, the idea that you need to check your email, the idea that you're going to make sure that you go for a walk. I've found for myself, not only writing it down so I can look at it, but also getting it onto my calendar, huge, 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 huge. It's about all of my lists. And I keep lists for everything, which is probably good and bad. But I have a list for the restaurants that I like to eat at in whatever city I go to. I have a list of places I want to visit and national parks I want to see. I have a list for the paint colors that we use on our listings. I have a list full of lists, really, is what it comes down to. But I write it down. I make sure that I have it committed onto paper somewhere so that I can go back to it. And some of those wild and crazy ideas, they're for right now, and some of them are for later. So that brings me to 2, refine each item. Is this something for you to spread out over the years? Is it something to be implemented now? Is it just the thing you need to have in the back burner? Can it be bigger? Should it be smaller? Where do you want it to fit in? How do you want to get there? And I think this is where we lose track of some of it. You have to figure out where it fits. And is it what you want to fit in for right now, for this year? Is this what you want to be your focus towards? And then you have to time each item. Is it just about you? Do you need assistance from others? Do you need buy-in from others? Who's going to help you? What do you need to do to help you get to make all of those things working? What is the time frame that makes that happen? Then you have to devise a strategy for each item. Once you've narrowed it down, where can you take it? How do you want to get there? Is there a clear path? Did you consider the turbulence? Where should you be focusing that strategy so that it is achievable? And maybe, is the strategy multi-tiered? Is it one thing that you're going to do this year so you can get to the next one? Did you really want to be a broker? Okay, well, now you have to go take a class. When do you want to take the exam? Did you want to get licensed in Rhode Island? What do you need to do to get your reciprocal? Up in New Hampshire, up in Maine? Where do you see your business evolving? For example, If you want to buy a vacation house up in Maine, well, isn't it a smart idea for you to maybe consider doing some work up there? Unless it's truly your escape, right? For me, I just need to talk to Lisa to get down to beautiful Cape Cod, right? So it's about figuring out where those strategies need to be deployed and how do you want to get there. And then systems. Once you know what you want to tackle, how will you execute? What do you need to create to make it possible? Is it a simple calendar? Is it creating templates so that when you jump right into your Evernote, it's ready to go? Is it a template that's inside your text messages? Do you just throw it in your notes? Is it inside your email? We spend a lot of time sending out similar messaging. So I think that putting it down somewhere and then spreading it out, so you have all the different ways you write it out. Oh yeah, we're doing a home inspection. Oh no, on this one, we're not doing a home inspection. Put it all down and commit it, and then you can just copy and paste it. Schedule it to go out when you need it to go out. And then you have to create a plan that will work. We all know what our lives are like and how we generally thrive in our daily business. When you read a lot of those books from CEOs and go to all those conferences, they tell us that most of them tend to wake early and they take their time to read, to meditate, create their lists. And let's face it, a lot of them write their list the evening prior and see where they are the morning of. However, I recently learned that Jeff Bezos operated in a much different way, as he started his day puttering, and he doesn't really get going until 10 a.m. So what are your good times? What works for you? And what strategies do you need to put in place? Are you a person that really needs to go for a walk at 1 o'clock? Do you benefit from a true cat nap? Is that when you're going to get some of your creative juices going? And what commitment are you going to make to those things? Where are you going to fit it in? This isn't about all those other people. This is about you and you being able to slice down those goals, make them achievable, put them in a way that you can get across the finish line. We are incredibly lucky to work in our field where we can, in fact, independently create the schedule that works for us and find a way to get it done. What's another part of this, though, and you have to think about it this way, is what works for those around you? How are you going to support those that depend on you? So when you're creating that plan that works for you, it's about inserting all those other folks inside so that they can help you reach those goals, especially if they're those people who are helping you. Then you have to have your things aren't always in my control plan. We work in a field that has oodles of things now within our control. Not even within all our planning can all of it happen. So what's your plan for when things break down? How are you going to reset, regain your equilibrium? Make sure that you can get back to that zero spot. Then you need to track your plan. You have to plan to reevaluate. Are tweaks needed? Does the plan need to be adjusted? Richard, the only thing I've seen, my plans have plans. It's easy when it's you, but let's face it, there's a lot of people who depend on us to get to those spots, and we have to have that opportunity to make sure we can get it done. Then you have to be open to the missteps. Nothing is perfect. A few years ago, I had to adopt a saying in order to help me get through things. Excellence, not perfection. When you're on your own, it's really easy to aim for excellence all the time when you're the only person who comes back to this. But let's face it, real estate is a team sport. We have our clients, we have our support teams around us, we have all the people that we work with, our lenders, our home inspectors, on and on and on. Those missteps will sometimes create other opportunities. So it's easy when it's just you, but you need help and you need to think about this other, I'm full of all these platitudes today, fail forward. Look at each one of these little things that's been a wrinkle and find a way to systematize it so you can flip it around and make it turn into a new goal. Then you have to be open to the adjustments. It's not just about when something gets tough, you step away. Really, it comes down to refining. Find a way to pull it back together so that you can know if that goal needs to be adjusted, if you need to realign, or maybe it needs to be pushed a little bit and broken down into a smaller fragment. And then let's face it, the most important part of this is you have to make it fun. Work is work, but you need to enjoy what you're doing and you have to come to it honestly and from a joyful place. And making sure that you are surrounded by people who bring that to you, who also help bring some of that joy. Again, we're in a field where we can make that a reality. So think about it that way. So those are my kind of 11 ways that I think about getting there. So now it comes down to structure, challenge, and thinking bigger to me. So what real estate thought leaders do you follow? Do you think you need to follow? Who else should you be open to? What kind of leadership training are you going to undertake? There's incredible opportunities out there between all of the CRS. Honestly, these webinars over the past year, I signed up for that group webinar thing. They have been amazing. These Mastermind Mondays, when you think about leadership training, it's not just pure, this is how you go be a leader. This is about leading those around you, whether it's your family, whether it's your business, whether it's your clients. Think of it in those terms and taking it and deploying it in a bigger way than just you, and frankly, just than all of us. What books do you need to read? Where should you challenge yourself with your reading habits? It's not just about finding those real estate books. Think a little bigger. Is there something in the current events sphere that might actually help apply? That's where you need to find your growth. And then just think bigger than you. Who else do you want to impact? What way do you want to give back? And what can you do to get there? This is so much larger than us. And what kind of conferences, what kind of groups do you want to join? Where do you want to be? What's going to make you go big or go home? You want to make sure that you find a way to expand. We have so much growth and opportunity in front of us. And they always say we don't use enough of our brain. So find a way to think bigger than you. Where's that next thing you really, really want to take? And then back to that balance concept. Here are the words that come when you look up for synonyms: stability, equilibrium, steadiness, composure, calmness, coolness, confidence, dignity, aplomb. Then you have to think about the counterweight. What else do you need to do to pull it back there? And then the last two comes down to proportions and peace. So that is how I think about balance, harmony, and stability. That's what I got.
Wow, thank you so much, Allison. There was so much in that. I mean, I just can't even. So I wrote down a couple of things quickly, but let me open this up to our group and see if you guys, anybody unmute yourself if you'd like to, or raise your hand. I'll try to call. People want to ask a specific question of Allison from what she just shared with us. And you know me, I've always got tons of questions, but anybody else have a specific question? Let's see, Corrine said, thank you, so chock full of goodness. So I will throw a question out then, just to start. Kurt, go ahead. I'm sorry. Kurt, go ahead.
I just wanted to say quickly, thank you so much for being here with us today, Allison. I was just amazed. Such an incredible presenter and such a wonderful knowledge base as well. It just was really great. You actually got a lot of our juices thinking about some of those additional things that we can do to start getting our mind right for leadership. So really, really well done.
A lot. Thank you.
Absolutely. Other questions? Hand raised. Richard, was that raising a hand or turning your camera on? No, okay. Nice to see you as well. So one thing I'm wondering.
Cheryl had her hand.
Oh, Cheryl, go ahead.
I just want to say thank you so much, Allison. And I totally enjoyed the list that you had when we were at New Orleans for a conference. You took me to some of the best restaurants. So if you see her on conference, saddle up beside her because she does her homework. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, seriously, but also like leading from the bench. I know that when I've been somewhere where I haven't known anyone, and I say, Allison, what are you guys doing for supper tonight? You know, there's always a place wherever she is, and that's a huge thing when you're just starting leadership as well. You know, you have held so many volunteer roles in Women's Council of Realtors, in the local boards, in MAR for sure. So one of my questions for you is, you talked about refining and kind of, continuing to identify things, especially this time of year. We're all looking at, where did we spend a lot of our time and treasure in 21, and where are we looking to put it in 22? Tell us a little bit about like your process for that refinement, to give us some pointers.
Sure. So when I think about refining, I start the year and I write all of these things down. And then I kind of have to go back and say, okay, here's all the things that are on my schedule. And time is one of our more valuable assets. Some say it's our most valuable asset. And I have a hard time saying no. I'm a yes, 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 no problem. I can fit that in because I have lists. The only way I survive all of this is with those lists. And it's about writing it all down and keeping a really good kind of note system. So I think the way that I have always tackled it is to stop at the end of every month and think about where I've been, what is it I want to do, and how do I want to get there? Successfully more times than others. And finding a way to say, is this something that's manageable? Can I actually make this happen? Because the other part of this is when I mentioned about making sure that we might have to reset and kind of pull it back in there. Part of it has to do with those around you who are in need of your support and your guidance, your mentorship. And I find that making sure that I can find that balance for them becomes a greater priority compared to some of my larger scale things, right? Because I want to dream big. And even if I start off with all this, I know that really it could be much more refined and a little bit smaller. And how can I do that? And at the same time, what little nugget did I just get from that refining to help somebody else that's going to give me a different leap? And how am I going to get there? So that's, for me, that's how I keep refining. And it's a kind of a steady thing. I mentioned it monthly, but sometimes it has to come down to weekly. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, wow, that's a lot, because I don't think, well, I'll speak for myself. I surely do not do that kind of reevaluation that with any kind of frequency, or certainly on a consistent basis like that. And I look at what you do, and the incredible amount of time that you put into all of these roles, and you're a top producing realtor, and you're a team leader. I mean, there's a lot to all that, and you're an auntie, and I mean, there's lots of family stuff as well. And I think that's a real testament to that you have incorporated a much more frequent evaluation of where your time is being spent and where it's being best spent. And I think that's something I certainly am going to definitely take away, from today, for sure.
And the other part of that, though, is I think leaning into the support you have around you, knowing where you sometimes have to make adjustments within all that. I mean, I see it every day within our team, with our staff, and how sometimes there's an ebb and a flow to what we're doing. And if we have to change up our system and tweak it just that little bit, you just have to be open to it. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But I think that the open mind part of it, that's the other thing that leadership has given me, is I approach everything with a more open mind. I try not to automatically think of all the why this won't work. I try to go more on the positive end of things, and that's really helped me with refining and truly my own, I think, my own personal equilibrium, by trying to focus more on that while still keeping some of those, okay, well, we have to be ready if something not great happens, but coming back to that other part of it, that's, I think the positivity, it really, that's the game changer. It was interesting during the pandemic when we were more or less shut down in the Commonwealth. Every day I still got up and got ready like it was another day. It was another day of work. I had a bunch of people say to me, you really get up every day and like put yourself together? And I said, yeah, it's the only way that I knew that I would have the fortitude. The other thing was figuring out where I needed to go. They started a book club inside Women's Council nationally, and we still do our books. We're shifted. We were going weekly, but now we're kind of more like we pick a new book every couple of months and we go every other week, because that's what we needed to do when we got back to kind of that normal-ish stuff. So again, that's just even a small thing, but again, we refined that because that made the most sense in order for us to stay true to it and also help each other create that kind of outside influence.
Yeah, I love that. The open-mindedness and sort of, how can we see if this will work versus, oh, that can't work, and all the reasons why it can. I mean, I think that that's also something that is a great testament to the way you walk in the world, and what I see as that abundance, and kind of living in that abundance mentality. And it really is you reflect that in everything you do. That shines through, truly does.
I cry now. No, and truly, the other thing too is, look, I'm more successful at this some days than others.
Yeah.
right? I think if you talk to a couple of people around me, they'd say positive. Are you kidding? But no, I think that, happiness is contagious. And I think that trying to find where the silver linings are, that's I think my best survival skill that I have, even when I sometimes go negative. I think trying to find that always, that's the thing that pulls you back up.
Yeah, love that. Well, what an amazing, amazing way to end this Mastermind Monday and to end 2021, to always find the silver lining and to lean on each other. And that's what we're going to continue to do in 2022. I didn't mean to have that rhyme, but really looking forward to continuing all. Just to remind you that Monday, January 10th, we're moving to once a month. Very excited to have Annie Hart-Cool with Let's Bring Some Fun into 2022. She is starting us off for the year. We're very excited. It was one of the 10 things that all leaders should ask themselves about that Elizabeth Mendenhall shared with us at our installation, and we're definitely excited to bring that. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us again. Thank you, my team, for always being here and supporting this great effort, and happy, happy, happy holidays and happy new year.
Hi, everybody. Thank you.